you hear me now?
Oh, hello. Yeah, I can hear you now,
You
man.
can hear me now. Okay, there was something wrong with Discord. Sorry about that.
No, it's all, mate. It's all good.
Right, so if you just want to introduce yourself so I can just check the audio levels.
Yeah, of course, sure. I'm Second Lieutenant Reed. Call me Connor. Yeah, I was defending the bridge tonight, and my God, what a terrible time of it I had. Let me tell you. Um, Same as last week. I've not changed any. I've been in the Sixth Guards for about 3 years now. And I'm in charge of the 154 section, which is armored and heavy weapons. That's me.
Okay, well, let's get straight into it then. Similar questions to last week. How do you feel about tonight's result?
Yeah, man, positive. You know, potentially if you look at it from a more positive, sunny side up perspective, we would have won if there hadn't been a ticket count type of system over 2 legs. We won the match. It was a difficult match, well fought by our opponents. We've obviously got some feelings that we could have improved in certain areas. As always, like I said to you last week, we're always looking to improve and be the best team we can. But there's definitely things that we learned from tonight that we can practice on and do better. But positive, like I say, we always knew it was going to be a tough fight given the first leg we faced against these guys, and it's obviously unfortunate we didn't come out with the overall victory. But at the end of the day, you just gotta keep your head up, keep pushing on. Uh, and get to the end.
Yeah, you mentioned your strategy a little bit, and it seems all teams have been slowly adapting to different strategies, probably learning from each other from watching previous matches. Can you go into the strategy you guys tried to implement tonight?
Sure. I mean, like I say, well, sorry,
Blinsky.
like you say, most teams analyze everyone else's footage from other matches and stuff to gain inspiration, to be, to find faults in plans of their own and that type of thing. So we definitely scoured over some footage from matches. We played a fair few public matches with this as well. The idea for defense, the stratagem we sort of had was to hold the main bridge as long as we could, get the mines
Yeah.
down early. It was not the way things went. The guy who was laying the mines was the first casualty of the entire match. He got dinked right at the start
Damn.
by a tank shell. I watched him turn into spam. It was horrible. But yeah, we were kind of hoping we'd manage to hold that bridge for an eternity, sort of just hold it for as long as possible. And it turns out our effort was a bit lackadaisical in the end. It was a bit lackluster. They rushed us really aggressively at the start, and I think because the mines weren't laid down, the reassurance sort of wasn't there. So it was a definite flaw. Like I say, I was in charge of defending the bridge there, but the amount of fire the enemy just put down, they made it really difficult for us to hold that bridge. And the other squads, the idea was to sort of get into the northern forest on their side and do as much damage as possible, which I believe they did. They did a really good job. Zoid and Williams, they did a great job up there. And Rothkowitz and his squad, they did a great job holding the southern pontoon as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said to you last week, and I'll say to you every other week you interview me, at the end of the day, you can plan for 5 hours, but as soon as contact is made, it's really hard to sort of keep those plans relevant.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So you mentioned the sheer lack of, the sheer amount of firepower coming in from the beginning of the match from Armeegruppe Adler. Did you guys struggle to, from the very beginning of the game, struggle to hold on to the first point? Because it seemed to be, they just kept pouring infantry in.
Yeah, definitely. I think a big sort of idea with the overall defense was to hold the main bridge. If we managed to hold the main bridge, they wouldn't have got across ultimately, because we had guys on their side of the river doing a lot of damage and that type of thing. So that definitely put a sort of it rained on our parade a little bit. But we always expected them to get across at some point. We didn't know when or how soon or how late it would be. But as soon as they got across, they there was one guy, then there was two, then there was five, and then there was 10. So you've just got to roll the punches and sort of keep your guys focused on task. Um, but it was always going to be difficult for us, especially when they got onto our side of the river and got rallies down and that type of thing. But like I say, you just got to keep rolling with it.
Yeah, you mentioned their rallies, and a new tactic that I saw on Friday and I've seen used tonight is the use of fobs across the river. Was that something you knew was probably potential happening going into this game? Were you aware of it, and did you have people watching out for it?
It's funny, because in the first match that was our plan. We were going to do that, and
Oh,
then we seen in other people's matches that's what they did. And at the end of the day, we were kind of like, should we do it? Should we not? We never did it in the end. But seeing everyone else do it just shows us and the planners, that we're on the right competitive path of thought, as it were. Um, so we were definitely aware of it. Like I say, I don't want to be hipsters about it, but it was something that we were going to try and never
yeah.
did. But yeah, definitely, man, it was something to be careful of.
Okay. So it was your time defended this time, and I think this is the last time we're going to see a team defending on this layer in this tournament. And you did make a use of some different tactics when defending. For example, your mortar team was very split up this time. Is that something you learned from watching previous games?
Yeah, and definitely, watching the other teams who have played this map as well and their casts of it. Mortar teams are quite often together, so it's easier to sort of coordinate with a squad leader in local comms or whatever he's got to do. But we noticed from the last game where Baker went
That's
on
where
a
they got
killing
bombed.
rampage behind their lines. All of their mortars were killed in one fell swoop by Zoid on one side and then Baker on the other. So from the last game and watching back the footage, we realized that it's probably a better idea to sort of sporadicate, if you will, the
Oh,
men
come
on the
on.
mortars just to make sure that if one goes down, the others can react.
Yeah, no, I agree. And something else you did different compared to other teams, you actually placed a Firefly on the southern island, let's call it. Is that something you learned to do differently from other teams as well?
Not as far as I'm aware, no. Like I say, planning sort of varies depending on the event, and in the competitive ladder, you've got to sort of have a great idea of um, the strategic importance and tactical importance of terrain. So we spent, Christ, it must have been about 2 hours just looking at terrain and tank positions and that type of thing. Positions for AT guns, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
We really do go quite in depth when we plan.
I didn't actually see much of logistics from your side of this game. I saw a repair crane later on, and obviously the mortars. Uh, do you know what your logistics were tasked to do this game aside from the mortars?
Yeah, Logi was always going to have a hard time, especially when we were put on the back foot right at the start. The plan for the Logi guys was to get an ammo crate down on the second run at main bridge, so we could just keep up the smoke and grenades to make sure nobody got across between that and the mortars. And that didn't come to fruition because obviously they rushed the bridge and managed to get a couple of guys across right at the start. So there was an instant danger to them. But Logi is probably the section of our unit that plans the most because they're arguably one of the most important arms of the combined operation, as it were. So, those guys, Sergeant Hazeltine, who's in charge of them, he did a great job planning.
Okay, and one last question I have about your strategy overall into this game that my mind has just gone blank on for a second, so I might come back to it. My mind's just gone blank on a question. So moving on, you faced these guys last week, so you saw how they could bring infantry to the table and their tactics overall. What did you learn about this team from last week, and did you have any plans to counter maybe a strength that you wasn't ready for? What's the
Definitely,
question?
man. So we know they're aggressive players. They're good, individual infantrymen, good tankers, all that type of stuff.
Oh, that's my
As you
question.
probably know yourself, they're a conglomerate of, I think, two nations, three German clans, and one former Yugoslavian clan as well. So the guys do a really good job, and they've got to sort of take on board that there's three clans to deal with in the terms of planning stage and that type of thing. So if they can manage that, they can definitely manage to organize themselves in a post-scriptum game. So fair play to them for that. We knew they were going to come in force wherever they came, so One of the ideas we had was to have
I
a
remembered it.
couple
I
of our
remembered
squads
my
do a quick
question.
diddly bop around the edges, just to make sure there was no one there. Do a quick diddly bop around the perimeter. Um, but it's hard. It's hard to plan when you know what worked for them isn't going to work for you. Essentially,
Yeah.
everyone's plans are reverse engineered when you're attacking and defending on the same map at different times. So it was always going to be difficult to try and strategize and learn from what they did last time, because as is the norm of competitive games, the tactics are always evolving. They're never going to be the same twice. Well, it's very unlikely that they will be anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remembered my previous question about strategy as well. So,
Yep.
something when I've been interviewing teams is sometimes they don't have a fallback plan. They focus most of their thoughts around defending the first capture zone, for example. Did you guys have a backup plan in case the first cap was taken? And can you maybe describe what that backup plan was?
Um, I can say that we didn't have a as in-depth a plan for the points that were after the first, because the first point on this map is imperative ultimately to victory. Um, if we'd managed to hold that point for the rest of the match, we would have won it. On the flip side, so that's why I
Yeah.
think any team planning on this match doesn't do much after planning after the first point. But the general consensus was just to go with the mode, see what was happening, react to where contact was coming from. Um, what's the name of the second point? Is it Central?
Central, yeah.
Really, really hard point to take, and we're really quite good in urban warfare. We can bleed tickets there quite easily. There's lots of windows, lots of alleyways, lots of entrance and exit points for our guys to get around to the enemy. We noticed as soon as we got to Central as well, their attack slowed down, and we knew that could have been a pivotal point. It could have been a feint. They could have, had a weighted attack on a different flank or something like that. But it became apparent to us at a point when we were defending Central that the tickets were thinning out, as were ours, to be fair. But yeah, so I mean, there was no concrete plan. It was just to react appropriately to the contact that was received between the first point and the second, essentially.
Okay, moving on from that then, based on your team tonight, is there anything you guys are going to go forward with and practice more, maybe train in certain aspects going into the next match?
Sporadicity, mate. You know it. I noticed in the first point we got quite bunched up when we started to get hammered by the enemy infantry and mortars. I noticed our guys were a little bit bunched up there, so definitely not to make a meme of it, but sporadicity was important there. Um, we can definitely practice our attack as well. And on reflection, I think the enemy's attack was superior to ours, obviously. So we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and practice some more attacking strats. Ultimately, I think we're a good defensive team, but when it comes to attacking, there's definitely room for improvement.
Okay, and the next match, I believe you're playing round four, aren't you, you guys?
Aye, yeah.
Okay, so the next match is going to be on Stone. I forgot what layer it is, but it's a 1940s map. Is there anything going into the 1940s maps that you're maybe going to do a little bit differently?
Um, Differently, perhaps not. The gameplay doesn't change in any great manner, in my opinion, just because of the map, or the meta is still the same. One of the first practice matches we had before the tournament started was on Stone, against
Delete chapter 2 as a whole.
BIA, I think. No,
Maybe.
it was 11 CIB. Sorry.
I have mixed feelings about
So
it as
that
well.
was a really difficult match. They won that one, but I think as a unit since that practice match, we've grown. We've taken on board a lot of stratagem and that type of thing. We could definitely use this time round. So we're quite confident going into Stone that we're going to put up a good performance, and we're looking forward to it. Stone's one of our favorite maps, so we're looking forward to it.
Who will you be facing on that round? Do you know yet?
I believe it's the Red Devils. It's a 7 AD and BIA, I think.
Okay,
So team.
I don't know too much about them, so what are your feelings going up against the Red Devils going into round four?
Yeah, I mean BIA, they were the winners last year as part of their conglomerate. So big team to beat, the Italian guys. Obviously, big bad Virgil, he's on there as well, so I'll be gunning for him.
It's rigged. It's rigged.
But
I'm telling
yeah,
you.
7 AD, good unit as well. So it's gonna be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. But we're up for it, and we'll face it accordingly.
Okay, going back to tonight then, was there any standouts on your team that you feel you would want to award MVP?
The age-old question. I've been getting bribes all day to get the shout-outs out. Jablonski again was phenomenal. I think tonight he
Yeah.
was exceptionally good. From what I heard, obviously my experience compared to theirs was very, very limited. Well, it was shit. In fact, I died most of the game, but those guys put in a solid performance. Zoid and Williams, they get a shout from me as well for doing so well behind enemy lines and just hamstringing them where they could. Tankers as well. Scott, Fons, Gourlay, and the guys that were in their tanks as well did a fantastic job. Harper, his command team was good too. It's really hard to highlight when it's quite a well-oiled machine that works so well together. It's hard to nominate an individual or two, but yeah, the tankers and Zoid squad, they did exceptionally well.
Yeah, and I'm just onto the part of the thing, the video now where a 2-2-2 rushed by somehow. What was your team comms when a 2-2-2 suddenly rushed behind to your mortar team?
You know that meme, that panic meme?
Yep.
That's exactly what our comms were like when we seen the 2-2-2 fly past. We're like, panic! It wasn't ideal, but to be honest with you, I don't even know what happened to it. Did we take it out? I have no idea. I missed that bit.
I think it was up for a good 5-10 minutes around the mortar team, just harassing the hell out of them. So
yeah, fair play to them. They managed to get across the bridge, and we didn't have the armor there to sort of cover it. I think there was a Churchill that was shooting them as they drove past, but they didn't manage to seal the deal, as it were. So fair play to that crew. That was a ballsy move.
it was. Moving on then, is there anything you'd like to say to the other team? Or any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Congratulations once more, Bucks Dragon and Shakal, two top-notch guys. Thanks for playing against us. Good foes as always, and we look to face you again in the future.
You guys? Right, we'll move on to see if chat has any questions then.
Alrighty.
And if not, I'll let you go. Chat, now's your time, chat. Do you have any questions you want to put to read? Thanks for the game read, it was great. That's not a question, but good sportsmanship. Can I get a promotion? Harper wants to know, can he get a promotion?
He'd have to take that with my senior, and yeah, that's his decision, unfortunately.
There you go, Harper.
I should ask him the same question. I wanted a fucking promotion.
Can I be reinstated as sergeant? Says Tupac. Would a Piat crew with mortars or mines?
Yeah. Sarwick. It's Sarwick. Okay, I was gonna say I don't know who Tupac is. I think he's been dead for years. Yeah, sure. Keep up the hard work. Keep up the sportacy. You'll get there.
Okay, I've got a long question here. Would a Piat crew with mortars and or mines in the beginning, would it have changed the course of the battle in any substantial way?
It's hard to say. We had a Piat at the bridge already. He was ready to whack the enemy vehicle that was crossing the bridge at the start. I think he did actually. I think he killed it. But I don't think it would have changed it in any great manner. Potentially, on reflection, if we got the mines down, they would have hit the mines. If not, if they hadn't crashed, he would have been hit by the Piat either way. So I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. But whoever was driving the truck, I feel sorry for that guy because he's going to get a bollocking from HQ. I can feel that one. He crashed it into the bridge right at the start. Poor guy. He's going to be sweating buckets, I guarantee you.
Can Reed get a demotion?
Fuck yes, please. Take it from me.
Yes,
take the responsibility. Let me be a guardsman.
I could also manage to take out the second mortar with a grenade and a third thing. I think that is the last viewer question we had, Reed. So I appreciate you joining me again. And good luck going forward into round 4. Great game. Great organization by the 6GA. And thank you for allowing me to cast.
Yeah, thank you once more, man. A good job as always. Congratulations once more to Bugs Dragon and Shakal and the rest of his cronies. Good work, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you later, man.
Have a good night. Evening. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye, Reed. That was Reed. Show him some love. I'm sorry, chat. My mind is going blank a little bit. I'm having a bit of a brain fart. Doing 3 casts over a weekend, kind of blanking my brain a little bit. But that was Reed. Thank you to Reed. And again, shout out to everyone from 6GA. Thank you for support and thank you for allowing me to cast. Hello, hello.
Hello there.
Hello, man. How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Okay, your audio seems to be saved from last time, so that's perfect. Do you want to just introduce yourself to everyone watching?
Well, yeah, Buxdragon, Hauptmann Buxdragon, the co-clan lead of the 390RR, one of the clans making up the Armeegruppe Adler. And compared to the last match, the last time we talked, I had a wonderful role this time. I was commander, I was sniper, I was doing all of the good stuff. Yeah, that was my role today.
Nice, you had a big role to play. Well, my first question, I always ask this, are you pleased with the results of this game?
And I can say the same thing as last time. We won. I can't ask for anything more. After that, though, I could nitpick some things, and everyone who watched the stream could also see some things didn't go as planned, as always. I think that's one of the part that every plan doesn't really go as planned. I think you already talked about it. The vehicle at the start went about as wrong as it could go wrong. It crashed on the bridge and got destroyed.
Do we want to name and shame who was the driver of the troop carrier?
Should I call some names here?
I think we have
the
to.
driver was Weisnix. The dude was nominated for MVP last round. And thought he does not want to get nominated again, so he did that. He did a good job after that, but we all make some mistakes sometimes. That did not go as planned at the start, and I already saw all our plans crumbling down as I watched the truck. But well, we still managed to turn around the match after that horrible start, and well, we lost, but we kind of won. It's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated based on the rules of the tournament. I'll get into that later on. So you spoke briefly about your strategy there. Can you give us an overall idea of what your strategy was going into this game?
Well, we pushed 2 major assaults, and we did not want to attack the southern point, since we thought we would be more powerful on the major assault in the north and the center. I've never talked so much about a tactic for only like 2 minutes. I think the amount of work Shakal did for that short period of time was just phenomenal. But we still prevailed through that tactic. Some things had to be changed on the fly, but we still managed to get over the bridge, over the river, which I thought was much harder than we actually managed. But the harder match for us was after the river, the fighting in the forest.
Yeah, that's what we saw on stream as well. It seems like you guys just fired an immense volume of fire over into the northern capture and just tried to rush across the bridge within the first couple of minutes. And that really is the strength of this match. And we also saw you tried to use a tactic that has been disputed, or well, talked about, should I say, on the EU Discord with the fobs across the river. Is that something you learned from watching other clans, or did you know about that going into this game previously?
Well, both. We knew about it because it has been done before. It has in some public, not public, but against some training matches against other clans. It has had been done against us in great success. So we knew that it was after we failed our crossing that was our best chance to cross the river. Well, it isn't really a crossing, but to magically materialize ourselves over the river. So through that we prevailed and managed to get that capture point.
Okay, and I'll briefly talk about the tanks you used at the beginning of the match. It seems you guys all fielded, I think it was 2 Stugs and a 222. Was that part of your strategy?
Yeah, kind of. We hoped for the Panzer II, since it has more ammunition and is better armored than the 222. But we didn't get it. The whole randomness in stuff like
Yeah.
that is still much discussed. And personally, I think it hurts the whole competitive matchmaking a bit in Postscriptum that stuff like that is random. Um, but yeah, we had to fight with it, but we managed it.
Thank you,
And
Werble.
well, the only difference the 222 makes to the Panzer II is that it gets less ammo. But yeah, besides that, our tanks did a phenomenal job. Our tankers realized that they can fire onto the main bridge right after the match started, and we hope to use that to kind of block off the bridge or block the enemy from laying mines, which did not. Well, it kind of worked, but you know the whole thing with the truck crashing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I spoke to Reed, your fire at the beginning did stop them placing mines. So if that troop carrier unfortunately didn't crash, he would have been able to get straight across the bridge. Speaking of the troop carrier, if it did make it across the bridge, where was it going to go? What was the plan of the troop carrier?
Well, that's it. I'm currently asking myself, but we're not most likely not fighting this match again, so I can give up more about tactics. We wanted to push the vehicle far through with our AT guy, so he could hunt the mortars or tanks,
Ah,
and the infantry would have hopped out and held the position at the crossing of the bridge. But that did not. Well, we still prevailed that the infantry could get out and kind of fight, but the AT of course could not get through.
okay. And when the troop carrier did crash, I noticed there is a little gimmick on this map, you could say. It is actually possible for the infantry to stand on the river side just behind the wall without drowning. Is that something you guys knew going into this game?
Yeah, we knew it. That was our original plan for the rallies, where they would have been placed if everything went to plan. Well, a few plannings before that, some stuff changed, but we definitely knew about that. But with our upgraded plan with the mortars and all of that, we did not need that protection.
Okay, and you mentioned your strategy was 2 strong attacks on the first cap. Did you have a strategy going past that, or was your main goal of this game just to get the first cap?
Well, the most important thing, of course, was the capturing of the first cap, because if we well, as we've gotten that, we won the whole round, even as we still lost. We can talk about the whole ladder rules afterwards, but the first cap was the most important stuff, and after that, all the other caps were optional. And due to that, most of our tactic was focused on that capture point, and we still had vague tactics for the points after that, leading to the second to last capture point. But those were much more vaguely, since you never know how the game plays out
Yeah.
so far into the match.
Okay, at some point, the 222 from your side managed to get deep into the enemy territory. Was that just a spur of the moment thing, or was that planned out?
I sadly did not catch that, so I can't really tell you. We definitely did not plan it. They just took the initiative, but it worked out great.
Yeah, it really did. It put off their mortar team for a long time. I can't remember who it was. Some guy did sneak deep into the territory early on to looking for the 6GA mortar team. Is that something you learned from watching the other teams, that those mortars need to go down and it's part of your strategy?
It was right at the start, and Shakal, our commander, did it. Well, our commander of the alliance. And that was a wonderful job from him. I can't praise him enough for it. I personally do not even know how he managed to do it. He just was there at the enemy mortars.
Skahal, okay.
So Shakal just did a wonderful job with that, and he saved us so much lives with him being able to push to the enemy mortars. that was one of the most important plays in this match right after the FOB.
Yeah, he. I didn't get all the details of it, but he definitely took one mortar offline. But the 6GA guys actually spread their mortars quite wide apart. Is that something you knew after he found the first mortar, or did you think maybe they was only using one mortar?
Well, we did not expect it that they had spread their mortars out so far.
Surprises.
But well, you kind of realized that after Shakal killed one mortar and the mortar fire was still coming in, they must have had other mortars. So we learned, but we did definitely not expect it or knew beforehand.
Yeah, and one more thing about the strategy. So you mentioned you didn't really have a full plan going forward after you took the first cap. But spectating, we managed to see the clans that make up your team kind of all worked independently. We had Uber in the north, 39 in the south, and I think IR on the northeast. Is that how Armeegruppe Adler work? Your clans kind of work independently, but they all have a assigned job to do?
Well, I think independently doesn't do it the right name. I think it's more a cooperation. But
Yeah.
well, we would have. I think the enemy would have been much more able to defend us if we would have attacked from one direction. And best allows for wonderful flanking maneuvers, which the 60A also wonderfully defended. Like in the south and also the north, the enemy was kind of everywhere, and that cost us the capture of the second point. So big props to the 6GA, a good job there. But yeah, we operated independently so far that we all had our attack directions, north, east, and south. And through that, we wanted to encircle the enemy. And it kind of worked out in a way that the enemy had to spread itself thin.
Yeah.
But it also had its drawbacks that we took longer to attack the second point than might have saved us some tickets. But that's hätte Fahrradkette, as we say in German. We won, so we can't really complain about that.
Yeah, and you did win you did win due to the rules after taking the first cap. And I saw in the text chat that you guys were celebrating a little bit. Once you took that first cap, did it feel like weight was lifted, and then from that forward you can just go out and have fun?
The command chat was wonderful after they captured the first capture point. It was just cheers and hoorays all over the place. So yeah, we knew that we had kind of won the whole round to this, so it was wonderful after that. And also, we didn't really had much to lose.
Exactly. Well, moving away from the strategy then, even though you took round 3 here, is there anything you learned about your team that you maybe want to improve on in the future or practice on?
I think we adapted very well for the whole thing around the river, and as our first tactic did not quite work out as we planned. And I think there are gonna be some other difficult maps. I think Arnhem is still in the pool, and the Ston is also much talked about right now. So we learned a lot about adaptation and like kind of thinking around a plan. If it doesn't work out, how can we attack the point? Also, Shakal did a great job thinking about his own tactic and how we can adapt to that. So I can't praise him enough today. This was well done, and we learned a lot.
Okay, you briefly touched on the next map, which is being Stone, and I believe I'm down to cast that game against Rusty 40. Is there anything going into the match against Rusty 40 that you're concerned about coming from that team?
Tanks, mate. Like Chapter 2 tanks are indestructible. Yeah. We played a practice match helping out the Iron 9 against the Frenchman, and in that we just saw that the tanks are so hard to destroy. Like in chapter 1 and 2, you can get your Panzerschreck and your Panzerfaust and destroy like any tank you have going at you. But the Char B in the chapter 2 is so indestructible or so hard to kill in general. And I think that will be a big problem how we gonna tackle that.
Okay, true. That is very true. Okay, going back onto the match of tonight. So this was the second round, second match against 6GA. Is there anything you learned from the first match against them? Some strength about that team that you had to adapt for and account for?
I think they just reinforced the strength I knew from them or I feared from them. The infantry fight in the forest was extremely hard. The resistance we
You
also
Blinsky.
got in the second point was just as strong. So the infantry was really on top of the game as we expected. So yeah, the infantry did a phenomenal job, and the mortars, of course, also was very creative in their placements.
Yeah, they're the only team that I've seen so far who've actually spaced out their mortar teams and also use alternative locations for their tanks by having a firefly all the way deep south. We'll move on anyway from that. So you was in a leadership role tonight. Is there anyone on your team you felt went above and beyond and you'd nominate as an MVP from your side?
You don't even have to think about this today. It's Shakal. He usually is the guy in the back planning all the stuff, which is one of the most important roles. So he deserves an MVP normally, but tonight he really excelled since he also took out those mortars. He got the fob up. This whole match would have been much worse if Shakal hadn't been there.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to say towards the other team before we go into viewer questions?
Yeah, I already wrote via Discord with Reed. It's a pleasure fighting against them. The whole pillars of the ladder is really well enforced by them. They're just fair play, and it's always a pleasure fighting against them. So thank you for this exciting, intense match. I think it was one of the hardest, if not the hardest match we fought in this ladder.
Okay, then I'll look over the chat now and we'll see if there's any viewer questions. There was one earlier from Lisa89. He said, how about the German mortars? Did they do a good job this game?
Well, our mortars did not excel at like they did in the defense. We had some problems coordinating our mortars, and the start with the hand mortars also could have gone better. So our mortars weren't really that good or weren't really on the level we might have expected from the first round. So, but that wasn't really on the side of our mortars, but rather on the side of the communication in general, that the mortars didn't really get their targets. So we also we learned that the communication with the mortars has to be overworked or improved. So the mortars weren't really at the top of the game for us.
That's something I didn't really touch on much about your logistics team. I saw, obviously, they built the mortars, and they also built a flat cannon, and they constantly try to get supplies to the riverbank. Was that just the goal, build a flat cannon, and then just try get supplies forward? Or did they have another goal other than that?
No, the whole supplies to the river was kind of adapted to the tactics once we knew that our first assault did not go as planned, as I already talked about. So the Logi really, just as the Shakar with the fob saved our whole assault with bringing those supplies forward. Reeps did that. Big shout out to him. He died like 2 or 3 times to like a Firefly, AT, mines, all stuff like that. But he prevailed in the end, so that was also a phenomenal job by him.
Okay, well, I don't see any more questions coming from chat, so do you have anything to add at the end here, Buxdragon?
Thanks for casting. Thanks for having me. Been a pleasure again. And good work on those 3 casts a whole weekend. Hard job, I know it. But otherwise, no. Thanks for casting, and thanks for having me.
No problem, man. I appreciate you joining me. I'll let you get back to your guys now so you can go plan the next game. Again, thank you, and thank you for allowing me to cast, my dude. Now, you have a good weekend as well. The rest of the weekend, anyway.
A few hours. All right. Have a good one, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye, man. Thank you. Take care. Chat. That was Bucksdragon, co-lead for 390.ir. There we go. 5-minute poll chat. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote. Make sure you vote. You know, only 66% of registered voters actually turn out to vote. You can change that. You can be the voice. You can be the voice of change. Go vote now. Go vote on who you believe shall earn MVP from this game. I actually can't remember who won MVP from last time. Who won MVP from last time? Well played to the Adler tanks. Yeah, both sides did great play. It was Scott and Thunder. I didn't ask about the Cromwell blocking the bridge at the north, but man, that was what ballsy play it was from them. Who won the MVP from last week? Who was it? I actually can't remember. Let me go have a look quickly. And this match and also the interview will be up on YouTube. I'll try to get them up on YouTube on Monday or Tuesday at the latest. So if you haven't already, go subscribe. We're 3 subscribers away from hitting 100 subs on YouTube. Thank you all for the support on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Where's your interview? Oh, there it is. Post-match interview. I found it. I'm muting myself. Let's go to MVV Po. I think you're right. I think it was Baker. Yeah, Baker won last week with 50%, followed by the AA Mortar team with 36, Jablinski 14%, and Wizix 0%. Poor Wizix, man. Wow. I think this is going to be a walk away like MVP. Who am I going to vote for? You know what? After listening to both teams, I think my vote will also go to Shakal for what he did at the beginning. Knocking out that mortar. He didn't knock out all the mortars, but he interrupted the mortars just enough to allow the rest of the Armor Adler guys to push the cap more effectively. So I think Shakal, for the important job that he had and also the planning before the match, he's going to have to get my vote as well. I love democracy. As we Germans call it, Demokrator. What the hell is that? Thank Merkel. We are secret. There is only one Senate, and it's led by Shakal. I mean, all he had to do was interrupt it. So I saw, in fact, we're going over there now. He managed to kill 2 people, knock out 1 mortar, but he also found the location of the mortar. So then what do you call it? A bombing run, a Stuka. A Stuka was called down a little bit later on to interrupt the mortar again. So, you know, he might have only found 1 mortar and knocked it offline, but it was enough to disturb the mortar team to allow the rest of the infantry to push forward and do their job. So it looks like he's going to win it. How long have we got? We've got like a minute and a half left. Go vote. I mean, I think it's walk away with who's getting MVP this game. But yeah, again, also thank you to everyone for joining me this evening. I really do appreciate the support. Next week, we will be going into round 4, which is on Stone. It's going to be a very interesting game. I am going to be casting. I'll let you know what games I'll be casting personally. So next week, on the 20th, I will be casting the first match between Cole FR and Parabellum, which is CIB and Storm. That's on the 20th, on Friday. On the 22nd, the Sunday, I will be casting the Armor Adler team, who we saw tonight, against Rusty 40, my old clan. And then I'll be casting the follow-up to that as well on the 29th. So I will be casting the Armor Adler guys in the 4th round. So be sure to check in on that. I'm hoping to also get casts on the Saturdays as well. So then I got cast on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because that'd be awesome. There's like 20 seconds left to go vote if you want to vote. Lemon got a vote! Lemon! Who posted the link? Want to be famous? When the FOB was up, AA was successfully using the Russian URA tactics. Old tactics still working. Hey, I mean, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, man. So, it looks like there it is. Shakal, with 91% of the votes, wins MVP for this game. Lemon, 9%. Yablinski and the 222 cars, 0%. But both teams, everyone in both teams, you did great. It was great to watch. Thank you for putting on a great show. Every game, I see the teams improving, adapting their tactics, and improving on the tactics they already know. Every week, it's getting better and better and better and better from my standpoint. So great job to both teams. You did amazing.